The start today from Casey Mize was, I'm sorry, that wasn't even a factor. I've been a Mize skeptic for like a year now, going back. Have you read the analytical stuff on this guy? The analytics community hate him. I mean,
his FIP was quite. He's not a good. Okay, for a year and a half into his career, I'm not counting 2020. I'm wiping everything from that season out.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but well, he's not good analytically because the FIP is low. He gave up a fair number of home runs, and he doesn't miss a lot of bats. Those guys do not grade out well to be good analytical pitchers. I think I like Mize, and I think Mize will be good. I think his floor is high. Like, I don't see him being a guy who 3 years from, he's not Daniel Norris. Like, he's not a guy who 3 years from now is going to be a pitch and relief in garbage time for a team. Like, I think that he'll be a consistent, knock on wood, pending health, a consistent major league pitcher. I think that the reason he went number 1 overall was, as I just mentioned, the floor is high. I think that at worst, he's a number 3 in a rotation. And the reason he went number 1 overall was that he was really polished for a guy coming out of college. He had 4 pitches that he could consistently throw for strikes. I think that even the Tigers they won't admit it, even the Tigers have been a little bit surprised by the fact that splitter, which many people believed was going to be this next great wipeout pitch in baseball. The Felix Hernandez changeup, the Pedro changeup, the Kershaw curveball, has not come along the way they expected it to. I think last year he got so kind of in love with the fact that, he was throwing the slider for strikes that he got away from the splitter. I said it in my video today, and I looked it up. I brought up Walker Buehler, I think earlier, but that works. Pitching for contact, trying to be economical. I think that's great. In fact, I actually think sometimes guys who are, strikeout guys can sometimes be overrated. I want guys who pitch. Don't give me that 5-inning, 1-run pussy shit. I want a guy who can actually go deep into games. So I think that's great. But I also think that when you look at the advanced analytics and when you look at what he does late in games, second, third time through the order, the reason why he struggles is because balls get put in play, and bad things can happen when balls get put in play. An 8 something OPS third time through the order last year against opposing teams. And you look at the Garrett Coles, the Robbie Rays, the Walker Buehlers of the world, who get better the deeper they go into games, the more times they face a lineup, because they can really strike guys out. I think that will be his downfall. Mize had I think like a 6 ERA in the 5th inning. The big reason for that is that's when you're facing the order the third time. And if you're not making guys swing and miss, it's going to create problems. I like him. I've accepted the fact that the number 1 ace, Verlander 2.0 that people expected when they drafted him out of Auburn, I don't think that will ever be the guy, which would really bother me if I didn't feel like they may have that guy with Skubal. I like him. I think he's going to do good things here. I think that he's very even keel, has the potential to be a really good postseason pitcher, but the concerns are legitimate. I think that analytically, I don't pay a ton of attention to that because he's so early in his career. If a year from now the numbers are the same, then I'll be a little bit more concerned. But we're talking about one start into essentially year 2 for him.
I'm a little bit more of a strikeout guy, I got to say, because the best guys in the world have games where they're off and they're putting guys on the base pass. I liked when Verlander could have an off night and still give up 1 run. His whip that night might be a disaster, but he could strike his way out of it.
You're right. But Verlander knew how to pitch. And Verlander was the master of that, where he would be 50 pitches in 2 innings. And you'd go, oh my God. And then you'd look up at 7 innings, 2 earned with 5 strikeouts. I know that you look at the best pitchers in baseball, Corbin Burns, Scherzer, DeGrom, they strike out a bunch of guys. But there's also the Matt Boyds of the world, who we've seen, who everyone, 2019, when people are like, oh, you can't trade him. He's going to strike out 250 batters. He's got a plus like 4.5 ERA. He's leaving a million pitches over the plate. I don't care how many guys he strikes out. Like, I do think sometimes, rare occasions, sometimes that can be a little bit overblown. Like, you look at Fulmer's first year when he was dominant and, had basically kind of saved that season in 2016. Not the best strikeout numbers, but he put up like 22 consecutive scoreless innings. He was going deep into games. I blew his arm out because of it. But I do think to a certain extent, and I want guys who miss bats, to a certain extent that can be a tad overblown.
Well, what was overblown was the scouting on that aforementioned splitter on Casey Mize. Keith Law said that before the draft, and I'm not shitting on Keith. This was sort of the common scouting opinion.
Yeah.
Keith Law said that pitch going into the draft, like right before the draft, was the best single pitch, not only in that draft, but potentially in the last 3 drafts. Like, just not that he was the best prospect or the best pitcher, but the best individual just pitch. That went, I mean,
it makes me wonder though if that's a scouting issue or a Mize issue. Like, I think I don't know if that. I really do, because I remember watching him at Auburn. Like, it was electric. That was a pitch that had a high swinging strike rate. So I do wonder if there's some like mental block. But it's bizarre to me because he did, objectively speaking, and forget the advanced analytics, have a good rookie season, like 3.71 ERA. Pitched 150 innings, and yet the only start in which I felt like his splitter was working was the second start he had against Houston, which was almost a year ago at this point. That was second start in a 30-game or 30 start season. So I think it's more so him, and even he's admitted to that. He said he thought it felt good today, got a strikeout with it in the first inning, but after that, that's going to be the X factor.